that's not representation of real life. And this idea that, oh, poly or swinging, that's a nice thing to try until you want to get serious and have a family, then you better settle down. And, it's okay to do when you're a teenager or in college. But what we're interested in saying is this is actually a new paradigm of family.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from across the entire spectrum of non-monogamy to hear their fascinating stories. We strive to bring guests on the show who have a healthy approach to non-monogamy. However, it's important to remember that everyone does it a little bit differently, and the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we produce this show for entertainment purposes only. Please be aware that we aren't doctors or therapists. Consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 118. We're Finn and Emma, and today we have an interview with KamalaDevi and Michael. And they are huge advocates for the sex-positive community and the non-monogamous community, and we're grateful that they wanted to come and share their story on the show.
Yeah, they've also really big advocates for coming out and living your true authentic self and sort of destigmatizing the shame around that. And that's something that we're huge about supporting, even though maybe we're not fully there ourselves, but we love bringing people on who are willing to do that. So please stick around and listen to their interview. It's fantastic. KamalaDevi also is an author and recently published a new book, Sex Shamans, True Stories of Sacred Sexuality and Awakening. And she will talk a little bit about that towards the end of the interview, but definitely check it out. She also has lots of other amazing books on her website.
They also, we'll talk about this in the interview, but they were on the Showtime series Polyamory.
Married and Dating,
yes. So you can also check that out.
Yeah, very cool. So we're excited to have them and we're excited to share their story. Before we dive into it, we just have a couple of quick announcements. One, a little bit sad.
Focus Fridays is over.
It's on.
Season 1 is over.
Season 1 is over. We're in the mid-season break, right? The writers are taking some time off, reconnecting with their families.
Yeah. Well, while still doing another show.
Right, exactly.
But you may have noticed we published 10 Focus Friday episodes, all on Fridays, of course, but they are also available on our website to download all as in one batch if you want to, or you can, of course, and go listen to them on the normal podcast player.
We just really wanted to say thank you to everybody who helped us put this together, the different contributors who we brought in. We had an amazing group of people that helped pull this together. So thank you to all of them for that. And truly thank you to everybody out there who went and downloaded the series from our website and maybe donated a little bit to support the show. So
it would not have been possible without all of you.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And we're excited to hopefully do it again this fall, and stay tuned for that.
Yes. You be on the lookout for season 2. Next up is Patreon. So we have our next live video Q&A on April 22nd. We do a 9 p.m. Eastern and a 9 p.m. Pacific Q&A. And a little bit more about that, just so that you have some context, is that it's basically a Zoom group call, and Finn and I show our video, but some people, whatever you're comfortable with, video or audio, or neither, if you just want to listen, that's okay too. And it's generally just a conversation and about lots of different topics.
You can send us questions ahead of time. People do that. People bring questions, and oftentimes it just turns into a conversation really amongst friends. The people a lot of the patrons who've been coming have been in all of them, and they really kind of developed great friendships with each other. And so it's become a really fantastic community and outlet for people maybe who live in a rural part of the country and don't have munches and meet and greets that they can go to. So if you're looking for that type of community, we'd highly suggest you check it out. You can find all the details on our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com. Click on the giant button that says Patreon, and you'll get all the details for that. And we hope to see you there.
And finally, we also want to remind you that you can still get 20% off at My One Condoms using the code NNM podcast. And also, if you don't remember, the My One Condoms, they do custom fit condoms. They have 60 sizes, and They're awesome. We love their condoms, and we highly recommend you check them out too. So go to our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com. You can find the link to that on our resources page. While you're on our website, please reach out to us. Send us an email or a voicemail and let us know how we're doing. If you have any suggestions for the show or just want to say hi or want to come on and share your story.
We respond to every email, every voicemail.
We'd love to hear from you.
With that, we hope to hear from you, and let's go talk to KamalaDevi and Michael.
Let's go.
Welcome, KamalaDevi and Michael, to the podcast. Thank you for taking some time out of your evening to join us. We just learned that we're only like maybe 40 minutes apart by car, but we just learned that tonight. So that's, we could have done this in person maybe, but nevertheless, thank you for joining us. We're happy to have you.
Yeah, thank you. Great to hear from you.
Yeah, it's kind of a rainy day in San Diego, which is rare. So it's sweet to be in having a little chat with you.
Yeah, no, perfect. Well, again, thank you and welcome. And for anybody listening, do you mind introducing each of yourselves and a little bit of background before we dive into the nuts and bolts?
Happy to.
Yeah, so I'm Michael, and KamalaDevi and I met 18 years ago. We just celebrated our 18th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We met at a...
Well, I think, just as a general background, I want to share that we're best known for our appearance. We're in the Showtime series Polyamory, Married and Dating. And so a lot of people who've seen us on TV, this is a little opportunity to be behind the scenes. But we started doing media, I would say about 5 years into our relationship. We were on the Tyra Banks show and Dr. Drew show and doing a lot of media because we wanted to give the world healthy role modeling for what alternatives to monogamy. And so that's been a passion of ours.
Yeah. And one of our biggest passions is really coming out of the closet and the value of that. KamalaDevi even did a little TED Talk, or not a little TED Talk, a big TED Talk on the value of coming out of the closet about our sexuality. And getting rid of the shame and guilt and fear.
Yeah, and that's not just being, we're polyamorous, but we're also kinky and queer, and we've been swingers, and we've experimented with different communities and identities. So it's just a permission for people to really liberate their love life.
Yeah, and we have a son, a 13-year-old son, and we've kept him in the loop. And he's always known that we're polyamorous, and we've always been real honest and open with him. And that's really fared well for us.
Yeah. And to give you a sense of our kind of constellation, we like to think of our intimate network as about, a dozen people who all know about each other and are friends and lovers themselves.
And we call it the super pod, which is actually comes from dolphins, because dolphins, are pods, and then two or more pods will come together to feed and have sex and do all of these things. And so we kind of thought of ourselves as a super pod in that way.
Yeah. And that's local, but we also travel a lot and have long distance lovers around the world.
Mm-hmm. And our basic layout right now, I have one girlfriend, Taina, and we've been together for 9 months.
Yeah.
We've also had lovers that have lived with us for different periods of years, over time. And I'm in a triad, a really deep one for the last 4 years, and I have a girlfriend of. It's going on 8 years that we're de-escalating from. So, it's that constant flow of lovers coming in closer and going farther and still staying in love.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. How about back at the beginning when you first met, was it open from the very beginning, or how did you guys handle that conversation?
Yeah, both of us had realized that we were, polyamorous. So we knew we were polyamorous already. And
in fact, when he asked me to get my number, we were at a tantric event, and I said, I'm happy, I'd love to, get to know you. But before I give you my number, I want you to know that I'm bisexual and not monogamous. And he was like, even better. And, and he took my number.
I had just, within the past couple of years, I had discovered that I was polyamorous, and I'd had my first polyamorous girlfriend was bisexual. And so I didn't know that it was polyamory or the bisexual part that was working for me at that time, but I knew that I was open.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and it was interesting. I immediately had a connection with KamalaDevi, and I got her phone number, and another woman came in and I got her phone number. Little did I know that KamalaDevi was in the bathroom getting her number as well at that first event. And we all three of us went on separate, dates, not knowing about each other. And then our second date, this other woman, Viraja, was there. We
had a threesome on our second date. So it's like meant to be open from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not many people can say that.
No, yeah. Well, and so you had both explored it before coming together as well, right? It sounds like, Michael, on your behalf, it was somewhat recent, but on your side, KamalaDevi, have you been exploring it for a long time?
Yeah, I had a sexual awakening in Hawaii. And so that's maybe 25 years ago. And that awakening looked like a Kundalini arising. It was tantric. I, at the time, was living in a drumming commune, and everybody was sleeping with everyone. So we were polyamorous, but we didn't know the word polyamorous. And I was lesbian identified, but my primary partner was in a male body. So there was already the gender bending, like he was wearing dresses. I mean, these were wild times. So I had all of this awakening, but I didn't have any context or any concept of how to live that way. So it took me kind of leaving the island and then seeking teachers and gurus and communities to really say, what is happening and how do I sequence all this? Because it's so contrary to the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And put me on this lifelong pursuit of what does mastery look like in the area of love.
So you can definitely tell that we're also spiritual. That's one of the other parts of the Venn diagram. So when we met, it was at a tantric puja, which is a tantra event. And we were poly. So we would say that, tantra and polyamory were kind of our biggest, identifications.
Mm-hmm.
And that's still the case. We really spend a lot of time in the spiritual worlds. I'm also a shamanic practitioner. I do shamanic breath work and learning about myself that way. So.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, so I guess I'm curious when you I don't want to say migrated from Hawaii, but when you moved from Hawaii back and out of that community, and you had to sort of you were practicing non-monogamy in a very, you didn't know what it was, right? Like you said, you didn't have a construct to wrap around it. And then you come out of there, and now you're trying to do that in I hate using the word normal, but in normal everyday life, you have to try to take that model and fit it back into this
society.
Society as it is. I guess, what was that shift like? Because that could be really interesting.
Yeah, here's what I'll share. What you're pointing at is how it's like right now, Michael's part of the PTA, and we're part of, we're parents, and we live in a house, we have a house, and we kind of look like the American dream in terms of our kid has other parents and we interface with them.
Right,
and,
right.
The experience that we're always having is being in both worlds. But that instead of feeling torn between the two, I look at it a little bit like I'm Jewish and Latina. And so, being Mexican Jew had always been partial identities. And so I just kind of came in and I'm like, well, yeah, I'm, and even being pansexual, it's like, I like men and women and other. And, so it's a broadening of the binary into everything's a spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, we have certain heterosexual privileges, that are, or monogamous privileges. And then we explore beyond that as well. And I do understand that there's a lot of people who don't have those privileges, and we're trying to, as you are in the show, it's like normalize, give people, broaden people's spectrum and perspective of diversity. But our son has been such a teacher for us. Like, kids just really get it. Like, the new culture coming in, especially, here in California, but there's, so much transsexual awareness in the media that kids just get that gender is a spectrum. And with that comes, and certain people have 2 moms, and maybe they have 3 moms, or, so I guess part of our practice isn't so much fighting against the norm, but including the norm and then transcending it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I like that. And it's very well said. And I think that was what I was trying to kind of like say in not a very eloquent way, is you came out of a community where it was the norm, right? It was just what you did. And now you're going to the PTA meetings and going to the soccer game and doing the standard American way, but you also have this whole other piece of you that exists, and you don't want that to disappear as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we've really taken a conscious stand for coming out about it, really being open. We were on the show, which, put us all, out, and several people on the show came out to their parents. We were already out to our parents, so they couldn't out us on the show because it had already been done. But it's always been really important to us, to normalize that. And even the question about having, whether our son was going to be on the show or not, we were always very insistent that he be there to show people.
Yeah, this is an important point. We chose to do 2 seasons of this series. This, it's a docuseries, so it's about our lives. And not only that, they invite the cameras into our bedrooms, so we're willing to show our sexuality. And the lawyers say, hey, we really want to give people a taste of your real, not the lawyers, the producers are like, we want to give a transmission of your real life. The lawyers are like, but you can't have kids on a show that has sex, so we can't have your kid in it. Can we just write him out and pretend like you're not parents? And I said, no deal. Like, that's not representation of real life. And this idea that, poly or swinging, that's a nice thing to try until you want to get serious and have a family, then you better settle down. And, it's okay to do when you're a teenager or in college. But what we're interested in saying is this is actually a new paradigm of family. Like, this is a paradigm that is a sustainable community structure. And so we were really insistent that our son be demonstrated, so that someday some kid's going to watch the show and say, or some person's going to say, oh my gosh, that family's like my family.
Right.
Because currently what do they see on TV is just monogamy, heteronormative, representation that doesn't makes them feel weird.
Right.
Yeah. And the people sneaking out of the house with the trench coat on to go to the swinger party, or hiding it from work, not letting work know about it because they're afraid that they're going to lose their work, which is a reality for some people, but that's changing. It really is normalizing right now. We've seen huge changes, in the past, 5 years, especially.
Yeah. I think it also depends somewhat on where you live in the country, but it is changing slowly for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously your son knows, and that coming out to him, was it just sort of a gradual, like we're never going to hide it, right? And it's just, this is his normal. So what's there to hide?
Yeah.
Kind of thing?
Here's the joke, right? Like, we didn't come out to him when he was like tiny, and we always had like lovers and friends and family around. Our joke was, at some point he'll be old enough, we'll have to sit him down and say, there are people out in the world that only have one lover for the rest of their life. Like, we'll have to come out to him and let him know the rest of the world is monogamous. Like, and he actually he's so well adjusted. He's super adapted, and he really feels proud of, like, not just, hey, my family is unique, but a lot of times we'll watch TV shows and he'll be like, this drama wouldn't be happening if they would just come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
We used to hold a poly potlucks at the house every month, and have groups over. And our son, when he was about 5, we had some ants that had come into the house, and he's all, "Hey, look, it's a poly potluck."
The ants.
A swarm of ants.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I think, one thing that maybe, if you don't mind talking about a little bit, is you said, KamalaDevi, that you had a sexual awakening when you were in Hawaii. And Michael, at some point, right, it sounds like you, for at least some period of time, were in the monogamous construct. Like, what, if you don't mind both talking a little bit about the lead up to that shift, and like what it looked like, and how, like, what brought it on each of you?
Yeah. So mine, I was definitely in monogamous, kind of a serial monogamist, with women for a couple of years, 2 years at a time, sometimes a little bit longer, through all of my life until about 20 years ago. And it was interesting. I was doing some shamanic work with a coach, and a voice came to me and said, "You're with jealous women." And I heeded it. And when I came back to San Diego, I broke up with my very jealous girlfriend. And soon after, I met this bisexual woman who invited another woman into our bed, for a threesome. And it was at that point that it really struck me. I was having sex with this other woman, and it wasn't just, okay with my, my woman that I loved. It was her idea. She was the one who'd set it up and had encouraged it. And it just switched something for me, where I was like, oh, okay, this is the way it can be without jealousy. This is the compersion, that thing that everybody's looking for. I didn't even know the word compersion at the time, but that's what it was. That's, and for me, it was just, okay, that's it.
Michael describes it almost like an enlightenment experience. It was so aligned with the soul of who he is.
And it was and looking back, it's, I'm just amazed that I hadn't figured it out before. When I was about 20, my high school girlfriend had fallen in love with another lifeguard that I lifeguarded with. And I loved him. He was a great, great guy. And I had actually set up, we had a swapping, and I swapped with his girlfriend, and he swapped with my girlfriend on the 4th of July, on drunken 4th of July on a boat. Right. And it was totally okay with me, but it didn't continue on after that. I just forgot about it. And, I went off to college, and, all of that was just forgotten.
It was like a latent sense that that was your path.
Yeah. And I only recognized it, recently. Yeah. Looking back at it, it was like, oh yeah, I was poly at that time, and I just didn't have a context for it. I didn't know that you could do that.
Yeah.
But,
so yeah. I want to jump off. Like, I'm a little bit nervous to speak this, because my edge, this is the piece that most people hear about. Oh, it can be without jealousy, or, we can have compersion. And they really attach to this idea that, like, you're 20 years on the poly path, you must have healed your jealousy. And as a, Latina, I am constantly confronted with the deep jealousy that's in my DNA and in my family of origin heritage. And my parents had a violent divorce that had a lot of jealousy. And so I love the idea of being like, let's, liberate ourselves and just all be in love all the time. But part of my path, again and again, is falling to my knees and accepting that, like, my capacity to share is challenged. I again have to say, wow, there's a really possessive part of me that completely, continuously wants to sabotage this higher self that's blessing and loving and wanting to see Michael in these enlightenment experiences. But there's a part of me that's just like, this does not feel good, like an animal that's like, that's my mate, And so I wanted to voice that, because many, many times people will see us and they'll hear us and they'll think that, oh, we must just not have that jealousy issue. And it's just such a core part of our experience that it has almost become like a family member. It's like we live with jealousy. That's a reality.
Yeah.
Do you have strategies for how you cope with it?
We were just reflecting. Michael's new girlfriend is also Latina. And so she and I are both like having these matching pictures and trying to share him. And we were reflecting on it. And one experience that Michael had when I was lovers with, you may know Reed Mahalko, because he's also a relationship rock star. And we were early on in our partnership, and Michael was having some powerful, like envy, I mean, Reed's so, charismatic, and he's such a slut, and he's so, like such a teacher. And Michael was expressing insecurity and Michael, and this is again, that sex magic. I think it's his love language. When he's his erotic energy is high and he gets into that enlightened compulsive state, he realized, wow, I could either be jealous of Reed or I can admire him and be like, this is a teacher. This is someone I look up to. This is someone I want to learn from. And so that was a turning point in our relationship, in which both Michael and I committed to jealousy as a teacher. Like when we feel jealousy, it's pointing towards a growth opportunity.
Yeah. And in like Reed's case, Reed is such a great guy. And so it was easy for me to say, hey, Reed, what are you doing? Why are you, how are you able to sleep with all of these thousands of people? And, I want some of that too. And Reed's like, oh, of course, this is what I'm doing. And, come with me and, we'll share together. And so it was kind of changing jealousy into envy, and envy being, something that we could share.
And beyond envy into like allyship and brotherhood and yeah.
And the, because we've been together so long, KamalaDevi and I, we've kind of tuned that up, even that part. And now when she has new lovers and she's excited about them, what I'll do is, try and learn about what that lover is doing for her that's jazzing her so much, and learning from that so that I can bring that too. Mm-hmm. It's normal. I think it's, it's pretty normal for, an old married couple to have hotter sex with, with their new lovers, that are coming in, because all that new relationship energy is flowing. And there's some things that I can learn mm-hmm. from her other lovers. What are they doing that's making her so excited about that? I'll try that too, whatever parts I can do. Which
also keeps our connection really hot, is that we're both willing not only to experience juice and bring it back home, but then to stretch and grow to continue to be juicy for each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. One of the other things that we do is we're really vulnerable about if we have like better sex with another lover, that we're okay, sharing that and knowing that it's okay, mm-hmm. Like really normalizing for KamalaDevi. She had a lover recently who was, she was so hot for, just like over the moon, for this guy. And I didn't just say it was okay. I was like, I'm glad that that's happening for you. I'm really happy that it's happening for you because it's juicing you up. And I expressed that to her and I expressed that to him. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for taking such great care of her, getting her so excited. And, by me acknowledging that, it makes it a lot easier for KamalaDevi to not be afraid to tell me the truth of what's happening in her heart, mm-hmm. that she's deeply in love with, mm-hmm. Harry or, mm-hmm. Whoever that is.
Mm-hmm. I think there's I want to point out the deeper teaching in what Michael's sharing, because yes, he's doing it so that he can love all of me and I'm not withholding anything and there's no like secrets between us. But the deeper teaching is that he's persistently looking for the positive, and he's looking to like, how is this happening for us, as opposed to my Latina like programming, which is like everything's a threat. Like, who's going to take him away from me? And like, look, so he's literally changed his lens to be, instead of oh no, it's from the lack consciousness into the look at the abundance, look at the blessings, and this is one of the biggest things that we teach, as we work with couples and families and around the world, we do retreats. It's a fundamental shift from the personality, which wants from the personality's just needs, like trying to see a partner as like, hey, you're my Santa Claus and I'm going to get my wishes fulfilled from you, to the soul. And the soul, when we're in the center of the soul just wants to love and love for and see the person shine, see their highest version. And the biggest difference in all non-monogamous relationships is, are you in, your abundance, or are you in your lack? Because if you're in lack, you're in polyagony. And if you're in abundance, then it's like, woohoo, we're having, it's carnival, it's a party.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really great point to point out. So thank you. I wanted to circle really quickly. Well, not really quickly. I want to circle back to just how out both of you are and how you're trying to be, voices in the community to come out and to be your true authentic selves. It's likely that you have received some pushback in our society. And I wanted to see if you could give any tips for handling that and pushing against that, because people who are out there trying to figure out how to come out to their parents or a friend or a sibling or a child, do you have advice for those people that might receive pushback?
Mm-hmm.
One thing is to, give them a book, The Ethical Slut, or have them watch a show like our television show, have the parents, let's say. We've had a lot of people that have come to us and said, oh yeah, my father wasn't accepting of me and my polyamory. But then when he saw the show, he came back to me and was, very accepting because he was able to see that. So that's one kind of surface.
Yeah, it's oftentimes, it's a great point, because it's ignorance. People are afraid of what they don't know. So when we can educate the people, and the problem is when we try to educate by, like, we can sound righteous and now it's polarized if we're coming out and we're trying to educate. But if you can give them the opportunity to learn from someone else, and then they can see you through the lens of like, oh, this is a whole subculture and you're not alone in it. And, I have, I can learn things. So I like that you brought up the education piece. The deepest teaching I have, no matter if whatever your sexual identity, whatever it is that you want to come out about, is that if you're looking for acceptance from others, and you're like, I want them to accept me, it's not going to work unless you deeply accept yourself. And when you're totally okay with being kinky, queer, poly, whatever it is, and you're like, this is my lifestyle, this is who I am, I'm totally okay, then you actually don't need their acceptance. You'd be like, I'm going to inform you this is who I am, or I'm going to let you know because it's relevant, and there's no point in telling someone to whom it's not relevant, but you let someone know, but you're not seeking their acceptance. You're like, this is just how it, this is how it is. So I invite people to, when they feel like they want to come out because they want to get the support or acceptance, to say, hey, wait, let me actually get support and acceptance from appropriate channels, which is other poly people that get it in a community. And then when I'm so full of that, let me come out from a place of security, not insecurity.
Yeah, that's good advice. And I think maybe along with that is when you roll it out, and like you said, in a way you're proud, not as in like, I have something to tell you. I hope, like give it like it's something you're proud of, right? Yeah. Which is hard to
confident.
do. Hard to do if you're scared sometimes.
Yeah. Well, plus our culture, it is becoming so much more common. We have in the media, there's representations of it. I think a lot of people are just ready for it now. It's really not the scary thing that it used to be. I think it's a lot safer. The environment's a lot safer for coming out. And the value of coming out is really great. And it's not for everybody. There's certain people that may be at risk, maybe their parents, won't accept it, or their job won't accept it. And, we're not saying that they should come out if there really is a true risk. But if they look at what that risk is, what is the real risk? What could happen? What's the worst that could happen?
Is it going to be a custody battle, a lawsuit, a job loss? If there's actually something substantial that might, then you say, okay, my cost benefit analysis here is like, it's too expensive. I'm not coming out. No problem. Yeah. But if it's just the fear, if it's really like, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to lose their acceptance and they won't like me anymore, then like whose life are you living? It's like, so you lose some friends that don't accept the true you, like good riddance, find some new friends.
Yeah.
I hate to simplify it, but.
And the family, you're usually not going to lose the family. They might be pissed off for a little while, but it comes around.
And then the family experience is richer and more authentic. It's not like those superficial meetings where they don't actually know who you are. And you're, I have seen time and time again where people waited and waited. And when they finally do come out, sure, there might be a shock and a few, maybe it's a year even or more of like adjustment period. But then after that, you're like, fuck, wish I would have told them so many years ago because they would have adjusted and we'd be back now. We are better friends than we ever were.
Yeah.
And a personal example of it, our parents have not wanted, to meet our other paramours, our other lovers.
Yeah, they're fine knowing about our lifestyle. And in my mom's case, I'll use my mom has met Roxanne and Sharmila, and she's fine meeting my lovers, but she's like, I do not want to meet Michael's lovers. That's just the line she draws. And I'm like, good, I respect your boundaries. Until Michael one day, because this woman, his new partner is Latina and my mom is too, Michael basically arranged it, orchestrated it so that his girlfriend met my mother, and my mother was like, she's a delight, because of the Spanish and everything. And so we broke through that barrier, it's all an evolution.
Yeah. And it's really made the family a lot more cohesive. Everybody, it just feels better. It just really makes the family unit stronger in that case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. No, it's fantastic advice. And I know, we've kind of recently gone through some of this as well. And the relationships, the people we've told, the relationships are much deeper and stronger, and we can be us. And that's, it's awesome. And so we can back you up with data points, at least 2 of them. So,
nice.
One thing maybe we would like if you would be willing to expand on is maybe that people come in and see that you've been doing this 20 or so years together, 18 years, and that you're in a place that you are today. How has life and your non-monogamous journey shifted over the last 18 years? Because one would assume that where you are today isn't where you were on day one.
Absolutely. So our journey has been like multiple lifetime incarnations in this one marriage. I mean, there were times when we had single sex, like our agreement field has changed. In the beginning, it's like I could see women and not men. And then it was like, okay, we're doing this long distance lovers. And okay, let's play with, like I said, we went through a period of swinging and group sex and at different stages, it's all an evolution of what's the true expression of, as we're evolving as individuals and we're evolving as couples, what meets our needs. And it's not always evolution's a straight line. Sometimes it's like, whoa, back up. We need to really pare down. There was a point in our marriage after living with, we had a live-in lover for a couple of years, and the relationship really just blew up for all of us. It like exploded with my jealousy and just different dynamics. And that time we're like, okay, we nearly lost our marriage. Let's do some deep attachment repair. And so big part of the ups and downs and the ins and the outs has been, what are our highest values? What's really holding us together is not because obviously in traditional, it's like what's holding us together is the vow you took to be exclusive with me until death do you part. Like, that's not holding us together. We're committed to, and we're really married to love, truth, freedom. We're married to creativity. The both of us are, he's a multi-instrumentalist and I'm an author, and, we support each other's art. And it's like, this is what matters. This is what life's about to us. And so we keep coming back to love. And then the form is going to change a million times over, but the love is the constant.
No, I think that's very well said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, and it's thank you for sharing too that you've had some times where it wasn't perfect, right? And that it maybe almost like ended the marriage, right? And I think it's easy for people to see like, oh, you've written a book about this, you guys teach about this, so you're perfect, right? Your teachers, they have to do it perfectly, and that's as much as we'd love that.
My answer to that is that I'm committed to fucking up so that the world can learn from my mistakes.
Perfect. Well, I think that's humble, and we appreciate it.
Yeah.
One of the things that we do, the actual nuts and bolts things, is we try to date people that are going to enhance our relationship, me and KamalaDevi. And I know that's a pretty broad box. It's really hard to define, but we give each other the benefit of the doubt that, that the lovers that we're with are going to do that. We wouldn't be with them. I wouldn't be with, my lover if she wasn't going to be enhancing me, which is going to enhance our relationship.
Yeah. It's a concept of like, it's a deep discernment around partner selection. And I think that has made the biggest difference. Who you choose to partner with and how they interact with your family. They can be like so enhancing, or they can be like a toxic weed. And to really be like, look, you may have fallen in love, you may have mad sexual chemistry, but what is this doing to the ecosystem? And to put the ecosystem first. And
not really having to use like veto power. Like, we don't really use veto power with each other. Mm-hmm. It's typically, we're both committed to, developing the relationship, because we know how much spiritual growth there is in being together for 18 years, and longer. What comes with that, it's not worth like messing it up, for
a really hot lay.
Yeah. Or somebody that, it's, if they're not fitting into our ecosystem, that has lasted for 18 years, then it's not, it's not moving us in the right direction. It's a path, like roots that are like wound together, like all of us. And when we bring somebody in, we want to make sure that they're on that, same direction and path, and that they respect us as the big trees in the garden, and that they're not parasitic, vines or whatever metaphor
right
you want to look at.
Yeah.
And so it's probably safe to say that you aren't relationship anarchists, in the sense that you are very much your relationship with the two of each other, yourselves, is the primary focus.
For all practical, we're a married couple, and we definitely have a strong partnership. The word primary is a very controversial, and we'll save that for another show.
Yeah, and we try not to use it just because it is so volatile for people. But
sure,
we have what we have, which is we've been together 18 years. We have a son, a 13-year-old son. These are what could be defined as primary. If someone said, hey, that's a primary relationship, I wouldn't disagree with them, but we don't use that term.
The term implies a differential, which is like a differential advantage, like it's better than, and that's not always the case. Like Taina and Michael right now the sex life that they're having is better than the sex life that we're having. I might have an intellectual affair with someone, and it's like, ooh, I'm having a primary intellectual connection here or spiritual connection here. And so it's not accurate for us, but that's again, it's semantic.
Yeah, no, and it was
we're not advocates of relationship anarchy. That's correct.
Okay. No, and it's fine. And I knew it was a loaded question, I guess. It was not that I was doing it to like trap you or anything. It wasn't the case. It was just, I was curious because, right, you talk a lot about sort of the spiritual piece of it and how everybody is sort of moving around in this space. And I know, right, there's a lot of people who hate the word primary, even if really what they have is that, and that's okay, right? Everybody can identify however they want, I guess, and we're not here to tell anybody who they are or what they are. And I was just curious. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Our message, like bottom line, is to know the shape of your heart and follow that, not to follow us, but to follow the authenticity of who you are. Cause that's exactly what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And that's where the pleasure and the payoff is. And
the right relationship with our other lovers, that we're constantly working on that, to make that, we hold that sacred, that we are in that type of right relationship as it relates to our relationship, me and KamalaDevi, that the right relationship has to, consider that, we've been together for 18 years and that we have a 13-year-old son,
right.
So,
yeah. Well, and then in turn, that will make sure that it's the right relationship for that other person, right? If it's not safe for them or a good fit for them, it has to work both ways, right? It's a two-way street.
There was even a time, recent time, where we were kind of exploring the idea of only having paramours that were in another primary relationship, because it seemed like that might be better fit. But that's not a universal thing either. It's like there is no absolutes. Mm-hmm. It's all just a matter of really doing the communication work and really being vulnerable about our hearts, so that we can know what right relationship is.
So I know you guys are on a time crunch, so we want to make sure to give you an opportunity now to talk about the books that you have written.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be launching. First of all, just last month, Sex Shamans came out, and it's a compilation of true stories of sacred sexual awakening. So I'm the editor and one of the contributors, where we tell, it's great to kind of preview some of it as you were asking about my sexual awakening. I also work for a mystery school. I'm a lead facilitator for these spiritual sexual shamanic journeys, and we've been doing them around the globe
for International School of Temple Arts.
And that's in 44 countries. And so as we, expand this, it's really this movement, people who aren't, ready necessarily to dive into a week-long, shamanic retreat on the land can get this book and learn the stories of 20 other shamans and how they had their awakenings, which then gives people permission to do their own shamanic practices, because the book has not just stories, but exercises.
And if that's too woo-woo, there's also another book. She just published another book called 52 Fridays.
That's right. This is an erotic lesbian fiction, and it's 52 really hot, sexy, gender-bending, kinky, playful fantasies, really. It's about a polyamorous director, theater director, who has this like bisexual, curious, kinky student that they start role playing, not just in theater, but in their bedroom, actually everywhere, but on Fridays. So that's published by Kleist, coming out in May. So super excited about that.
And both of them are KamalaDevi under KamalaDevi.com.
Yeah. Or available on Amazon as well.
Awesome.
Great. Well, we'll make sure to put links to both of them in the show notes too for the episode.
Yeah. Is there anything else kind of wrapping things up that either of you wanted to share with the listeners before we let you get along with your evening?
What I want for, I'm delighted that you took the time to listen. My hope is that you come away more inspired to do love your way, which is like a direct indirect proportion to how well you know yourself. So this idea, like, if we inspire different possibilities, it's like the work is looking inside and saying, what do I want? What's my truth? And the more you know that, then the clearer you can communicate it, and then the clearer you can create it. So we're firm believers of like, you can create and design your life however you want, but it's completely related to how well you know yourself. So, turn into the mirror and start looking at you as the greatest love and ask yourself, like, what it is that you want.
And that you're on the right path. Us humans, we are group animals,
Mm-hmm.
and we are naturally wired for non-monogamy. We live in groups. We live in cities. We live together. We're like schools of fish. We need that. And our greatest happiness is going to come when we realize who we are, just biologically, and where we fit, into that. And then we do the deep work about making that, the right relationships. But you're on the right path just to be listening to this, and getting knowledge for yourselves, and do more study, just keep studying and go to the workshops, read the books, watch the TV shows, all of that.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy week to sit down and record with us. So we really appreciate it.
And all the knowledge you dropped. And for writing the books.
Yes.
And the
TV show and all the promotion that you do. I mean, that's awesome. There can't be enough of us out there trying to normalize this. That's what we're trying to do, right? So
absolutely.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the good work. It's great to hear it. Great to be
Absolutely.
You.
Well, we'll let you get along with your evening and have a great night.
All right. Good night.
Welcome back.
And we're back. You're supposed to say, and we're back.
I can say welcome back. It's still okay.
I'm used to you saying, and we're back.
Thank you, KamalaDevi and Michael. And we're back.
There it is.
Go ahead.
No.
You just wanted me to say that part?
Yeah, that's your thing.
Thank you to KamalaDevi and Michael for reaching out to us and for coming on the show and for being such big promoters for being your true authentic self and living true to yourself. And we think that's amazing. That's what we're trying to do with this podcast too. So thank you.
Thank you. And listeners, please go check out all of her books and all of the work that they do. It's fantastic. And we highly suggest you take a look. Next week, we have an interview with Carrie. And this one, you know what? I'm not even going to give it any context. Do you not remember?
I do remember, but I don't want to say it because I want them to be surprised.
Yeah. It's a dynamic that we have not had on the show before.
Right.
Let's say that. And we will see you next week for that one.
Yes. So come back.
But before you come back, maybe reach out to us at normalizingnonmonogamy.com. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we look forward to hearing from you.
We hope everyone's staying safe out there and taking care of yourself. We know that things are a little bit unusual, to say the least, at the moment. So we're thinking of all of you, and please take care of yourself and your loved ones. And that's all I have to say, my little PSA at the end.
All right.
Thank you for listening, everyone. We'll see you next week.